I'm going to talk about Bhakti Yoga. Does anybody know what Bhakti means?
I don't know.
Bhakti? Devotion. Bhakti means devotion. Anybody know what yoga means?
To connect.
Yeah. We say yoke or connect. So there's so many different kinds of yoga. There's like Hatha yoga, and there's karma yoga, there's jnana yoga, there's ashtanga yoga, and each yoga has a different type of purpose behind it. So if you're going to engage in karma yoga, then you want to get some result, some material result. So most of the people that we see in our society are karma yogis. Karma means action. So they believe that by their action they're going to get a result. And they're right. They're actually right. So they work very hard and they get money. They pray to the demigods, they pray to God for some material benefit. And they can get material benefit. The problem with the karma yoga for material benefit is that the benefit is temporary and ultimately doesn't make who we are really happy. The jnana yogis, they engage in trying to learn as much as possible from books, and they try to gather a lot of knowledge. And so their whole life is just studying and trying to gain knowledge, and they try to defeat others with arguments. And so the purpose of their yoga is to be very intelligent and to have arguments and these sort of things. We say that Bhakti yoga is the highest form of yoga because Bhakti means that we're engaging in devotional service and connecting in relationship. And the intrinsic to who we are, we want relationships. Everybody wants relationships. And we can't be happy without relationships. If I was to ask any one of you, what's the most important thing in your life, most people would say, someone in their family or their husband or wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody in their life is a relationship. So what we do in Bhakti is we try to connect in relationship. We try to perfect our relationships. That's what Bhakti means. In order to perfect our relationships with each other, we have to first cultivate our knowledge of God and our love for God. Because we have to come to the realization that having this relationship with God is actually going to bring us true fulfillment and happiness. So Bhakti Yoga starts out with having some faith and believing that if we engage in an activity that we're going to receive a result that's going to make us. Faith means that I'm going to do something that's going to make me more happy than what I was previously doing. So faith means that you have faith that if you get out of bed, for instance, that you're going to be more happy than if you stayed in bed, right? You have faith that if you go to school, that you're going to be better off later on, or that if you... So faith means where do I put my actions and my activities? I have faith in this relationship that it's going to make me more happy than before I was in this relationship. So people have faith when they go into a marriage. So this is good. This is beneficial. So faith, first we have faith. We attain this faith by associating with devotees, associating with a pure devotee. And we attain our knowledge, Prabhupada says we attain our knowledge from philosophy. And from the philosophy, then we use our logic, the intelligence we're given, our logic to say, does this make sense to me? Does this make sense? Does this, we're discerning, so we have to ask questions, make sure, does this make sense? And then the third stage is revelation. So you have the philosophy, then you use your logic and your intelligence, and then as you engage in the practice, you engage in the actions that are recommended for you, then the revelation comes. Then Krishna is a name for God. It means the all-attractive one. And we have a scripture called the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's 12 volumes long. We have the Bhagavad Gita, which is a very famous scripture, which means the song of God. Bhagavan means God, and Gita means song. And then we have many other ancient Vedic scriptures. These Vedic scriptures from India, some of the oldest scriptures in the world. Very beautiful scriptures. And so we take this philosophy. Thank you.
Sure, thank you
Very much. So we take this philosophy from the scriptures, and we also take it from the spiritual master. Krishna says that try to learn the truth. How do we know the truth? By approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So we take the knowledge from the spiritual master who has been in touch with the spiritual reality and sees and knows the truth. And then there's the saintly persons. And then also we have this... Thank you for coming. We have this whole line, not just one guru, but we have this whole line going all the way back to Lord Krishna himself, 5,000 years ago, who spoke the Bhagavad Gita. And so we don't change the knowledge at all. The knowledge is passed down. And so this is the philosophy. And then we use our logic to say, okay, these teachings that they're teaching me, it makes sense. One of the teachings is that we can't find true fulfillment, we can't find true happiness in this material world because it's filled with so many miseries, and it's temporary. So there's three kind of miseries we experience. We experience miseries of the body and mind. We experience miseries from other living beings, other living entities. And then we experience miseries from natural catastrophes and things that happen in the environment. And then also with material life, there's constant change. There's instability and suffering. And ultimately there's death. There's old age, disease, and death. So our teaching is that you actually can't find true happiness in this world, but we're actually, who we are intrinsically is we're someone who's not going to die. We're actually a spirit soul who animates the body. The body is simply a vehicle for the spirit soul. And so the goal is to connect ourselves with our eternal identity and our eternal nature by engaging in practice that will help us to realize who I am first. So first comes the self-realization, who I am. And then once you know that, then you can begin to understand who God is. So we first know who we are, then we start to connect with God. So the first stage is we have to have a little bit of faith. And we hear these beautiful teachings, these teachings that actually answer pretty much every question you could ever ask so perfectly, these Vedic scriptures. And so someone who's sincerely seeking can approach this knowledge, someone who has this knowledge, and inquire from them. This takes faith. So faith, and then the second word mentioned in the scriptures is sadhu sangha. And that means association with saintly persons, with devotees, people who are interested in spiritual life. And the most important part of our advancement in spiritual life, the most important aspect is this association with saintly persons. And it's said that actually 90% of our success in spiritual life comes with who we associate with, who we're around. And it's just like, it's almost like it's a reflection, it's a mirror. It's who we're around, we become more like. So we can, even materially, you always hear that the 5 people you hang around the most is the type of people that you're gonna become. So sadhu sangha, faith, shraddha, and the second stage is sadhu sangha, association with saintly persons, with people who are sincerely interested in spiritual life. Sincerely means that they're willing to make some effort. They're willing to make some changes if they need to in order to engage in this practice. Just like any serious practice, if you're going to engage in trying to get stronger, you're going to go to the gym. If you're going to try to be healthy, you're going to eat a certain way. So someone who's actually serious about trying to gain a better situation in their life, this action, this bhakti, and understand that we can understand theoretically that relationships are the highest. This is what we want. And devotee relationships are really sweet, actually. Because in devotee relationships, we're all trying to serve each other, and we're all trying to encourage each other, and we're also trying to eliminate these unwanted attachments in our heart. So first is faith, then is association with spiritual people, and then we start to engage in devotional service. And that's actually what we're doing tonight. Devotional service, there's also 9 processes of devotional service. And the first and most important for this age is actually hearing. Hearing and chanting. Shravanam Kirtanam. So we're hearing and chanting, and actually the practice for liberation in this age, the only practice, as taught by our great acharyas and Lord Chaitanya, who came 500 years ago, is that we should constantly chant the holy names, and that the only way to achieve self-realization and love of God is by chanting the holy names. So it's that, as simple as that, is absorbing in the holy name. Because it's also said that Krishna invested all his transcendental energies in his name. So we simply have to come and hear and chant, and then we're associating directly with the Lord that way. So hearing and chanting, and then as we start to hear and chant, we're hearing the scriptures, the beautiful scriptures, the descriptions of Krishna and his wonderful pastimes when he comes. Then we start to be attached. We think it's called the higher taste. We think this is much nicer than what I was doing before. Because it is, it's a spiritual actually sound vibration that we're hearing. It's actually coming from the spiritual world, and you can feel the upliftment in consciousness as it's being sung. So as we do this, the fourth stage is called anartha nivritti. And this means we're removing the unwanted attachments from the heart. And what are these unwanted attachments? They're lust. Lust means what I see, these things in front of me, these objects or these people, they're for my enjoyment. This means lust. You contemplate on an object of enjoyment, and then you have attachment forms, and then strong desire, and this lust, and then it can't be satisfied, and so you want more and more, and then you're afraid of losing what you've gotten. So this whole process happens, and we became very frustrated. So these unwanted attachments is this material lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion, all these things we're removing from our heart through just purely by listening, hearing, and chanting. So it's as simple as coming. It's actually said it's rare that someone actually is even interested in serious spiritual life, especially in this age. It's actually said that 1 in 1,000 people are actually going to be interested, just interested. And then out of those 1,000, only 1 is going to take the serious spiritual life. So people might ask, so how come, so few people are interested? Because serious spiritual life means that I really want to make a change. I really want to start detaching from these material things that may have given me some pleasure, but they weren't fulfilling me. Because these material pleasures, they might satisfy the body, but we understand through the teachings of Krishna, through the teachings of spiritual masters, that we're actually not this body. We're actually spirit soul, eternal spirit soul. This body starts out at youth, goes to adult, and old age, and then the body ends. But we go on. We're actually eternal. So what's called the false ego, the false identification, is thinking that we're something that we're not. We're actually thinking that we're this body. We're thinking that the other people are their bodies. But when you start to see spiritually, you understand that actually we've been together for eternity, all of us. And that's why people, they form these connections. You're my soulmate. We're actually all each other's soulmates. But our eternal, who we're trying to connect with, our eternal soulmate, as we, as small part and parcels of the Lord, are conscious of our own bodies. But Krishna, God, is actually conscious of everybody. He's actually in the heart. It said that Krishna is in the heart. So as we engage in this chanting process, this purifying process, it said that we're cleansing the mirror of the heart. There's so much dust accumulated from years and years of associating with material desires. And so we're cleansing the heart. So narta nivritti. And then the fifth stage. And once you reach the fifth stage, you're in good shape. As a Bhakti yogi, it's called nishta. And this means steadiness. Because in the beginning of devotional life, we have so many attachments. So usually what happens is that we come, we love it, we engage, and we start to serve, and then we want to enjoy. We see something outside we want to enjoy. Well, I miss, going to the bars, or I miss doing all these things, that we also have fun. We dance, we chant, we have wonderful food, we have huge festivals, all these things, but we still have so many attachments these certain activities that we do to lead to material attachment. What we're trying to do is transfer this attachment into love for Krishna, into engaging in this same desire, the same lust desire. We're transferring it into an intense desire. Lord, please engage me in your loving devotional service. And this is actually the true nature of the soul, is that we're all servants. And people don't like that. Because people think that they're the master. And that's, they're here to be the master. That's why they take on this false ego. And so we understand that our eternal identity is one of service. But service is very sweet, because service also means an act of love. And in the spiritual world, we're thinking about how can we serve you? How can we help you? How can we serve you? Without any other intention or desire. And the opposite end, in material life, we're thinking, how can you serve me? And what can you do for me? So it's just the opposite. The spiritual life is very sweet, because as the purificatory process happens, then we're thinking about how can we serve? How can we help you? You're my, you are my friend. I mean, you are my good spiritual friend, and we're trying to help each other in that way. So nishta means that we're steady. Before that, we might fall down. Krishna says that's okay. If you fall down, that's okay. He said, just get back up. Just get back up and keep on going. He said there's no loss or diminution on the path. If you make 1% advancement in Krishna consciousness, in attachment to God, 1% advancement, you never lose that. If you fall down, you go do some things for a while in the material world, the same thing that every animal is doing, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. We get into that cycle. We're going to be gone for a while, but we come back. And it continues for not just in this life, but for many lives. When we come back and we engage ourselves again in service to the Lord, then we start at the same place we left off. So nishta means, the nishta stage means that we're steady at this point. We're not falling anymore. Like a child learning to ride a bike, and they're falling over and they're trying to learn. So once we get to the point of steadiness, then we're in good shape. So nishta, faith, shraddha, association with devotees, performing devotional service, like hearing and chanting associated with the devotees, and then anartha nivritti, removing the unwanted attachments from the heart, and then nishta, steadiness. And then ruchi, taste. We start getting taste, intense taste. We might have some taste in the beginning, but this taste is something that it's so high and far beyond the material taste that we get. We get a little bit of taste from enjoying, sense enjoyment, enjoying our senses. But this spiritual taste, this satisfying and feeding the soul, this taste that we get, begins to truly satisfy who we are, and we have taste. And then from there, the seventh stage is attachment. We're done. We're attached now. So at this point, we're really feeling the spiritual energy, the spiritual environment. We're in the spiritual world at this point. And then the eighth and ninth stages are bhava, the initial stages of love of God, and then pure love of God, prema, is the ninth stage. So at this point, we have, with our whole heart, surrendered to the Lord in love. I am yours. I am yours. Just like, lovers surrender to each other. I am yours and you are mine. And then Krishna also surrenders to us. This is the loving exchange the intimate loving exchange between God, who is a person, and us. And we have a unique relationship, actually, that no one else has with the Lord. No one else can replace our relationship with the Lord. It's an eternal relationship we've had. We've turned away from the Lord. The Lord is still there. And He wants us to turn back. So when we turn back, then the perfection happens. Then we can reconnect. This Bhakti yoga is reconnecting. So the whole process is actually very, very sweet. And especially the chanting is very, very nice, as you've seen tonight. Was that? Everybody enjoy that chanting? Yeah. I know you did, because you're getting attached now. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's there's nothing to be afraid of. we have some regulatory principles, but they're only to help us engage in the practice. Therefore, we're not judgmental. We're not judgmental towards ourselves or to others. We just know that when we engage in these things, these sense gratificatory principles, like intoxication, for instance, there's consequences. So we don't like to see you suffer. We don't like to see it. And that's why we're trying to spread this knowledge, because we have experienced through the mercy of our spiritual master and through Krishna the opposite end of that. That actually true enjoyment comes from engaging in loving service to the Lord. And suffering begins with sense enjoyment. So we try to teach people this, because we know that you can become happy this way and you can become peaceful this way. And so Bhakti Yoga is actually engaging in Bhakti Yoga and helping others engage in Bhakti Yoga is actually the highest welfare work. Because other things, you can give someone $1 million, or you could give somebody anything, 30 years of your life, but this is still temporary. But in connecting in spiritual life, we're actually nourishing the soul, who we really are, not just this outer body, the spirit soul, and we're helping people achieve eternal benefit. And we simply need to just inquire, just ask if we're interested. We just ask, and we can just read, and we just like this, coming together and trying to make friendships and a nice gathering of people who are interested in the similar things. So thank you all for coming so much, and it's really nice to see you. I know that it's your first time, and so it's really good to see everyone. And next week, Jivananda Prabhu, he's going to be here. He's going to be speaking, and he's been practicing Bhakti Yoga for over 30 years, and he is very, very nice speaker. You can ask any question you want to him. So, does anybody have any questions? Anything? So far away. Everyone's so far away. Okay. Well, it's Brandon. He's going to leave us for a few weeks. Brandon's leaving us for a few weeks, but tonight's his last meal he's cooked for us. So I'm going to have...
Where are you going?
New York.
He's coming back. You're coming back, right? Okay. Just making sure.
I'm coming back. And then I gotta go to San Diego.
Yeah, for a couple weeks, right? So we have temples all over the United States now. This is actually the fastest growing movement in history that we can even think of, because this is actually very ancient, but coming to the West, it's new. Coming to the West, and it's growing very quickly, because it's just wonderful. I mean, the books that we have from our spiritual master are just incredible. So nice. If anybody's interested, I can recommend it. I have this little small book on Bhakti Yoga if anybody wants. So, thank you. Yeah. And,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.